Hi everybody, I'm Lou Anella. I'm the director of the Botanic Garden at Oklahoma State University, and I'd like to speak to you today about outdoor lighting. Some of the concepts that you need to understand, some of the materials. You could hire a contractor to do this, but if it's a small project, you might want to do it yourself. And so I'd like to show you some of the basics. First, I'd like to show you what not to do. The mistake that I first made when I did my first project. I bought a light fixture similar to this. And the problem with this light fixture is you can see the light source. And so at night, if you can see the light source, that's going to cause your pupils to constrict, and it's going to actually make it more difficult to see. So you really want to use a light fixture that has a shade. You don't want to be able to see that light source. You don't want to be able to see that bulb. So a light fixture like this that has a shade will reflect the light down to the ground, onto the path. And if you're doing your lighting for safety reasons, that's really what you need. That's really what you want. So having a shade keeps the light from shining in your eyes, and then it reflects it down to the ground where you want the light to be for safety. Likewise, having a spotlight like this could be great to highlight areas of the house, to increase your curb appeal, but you don't want this shining into people's eyes, and you don't want it shining into your windows. So most of these spots have shades on them that are adjustable, that can be turned, and so you can do that to block the light so that people walking up to the house do not have light shining into their eyes. Next, we need to think about power. And power is going to come from a transformer. So there are lots of different transformers on the market. Some of them are quite simple. Some of them are incredibly sophisticated. You can now zone your lighting system like you can an irrigation system. You can have the lights around the pool be on a different zone from the lights that are in the front yard. Some of the controllers are so sophisticated, they can change the color of the lights. And so those are sophisticated systems. You can also go quite simple. So this is a simple transformer that is rated for 150 watts. Here's a larger one that's rated for 300 watts. This larger controller is a little bit more sophisticated in that it has different ports inside it to allow higher voltage. And so that lets us run the wires a longer distance without having too much voltage drop or allowing for extra voltage drop so that the LED light bulbs are still operating in the range that they want to be operating. So that just gives us a little bit more flexibility having those multiple ports with the different voltages. So you need to know what the wattage is of your light bulb and keep it to within about 2/3 of the maximum wattage of your transformer. So for example, these LED light bulbs that we have here are 4 watts. So for this 150 watt transformer, technically we could put 37 light bulbs on it. But we don't want to max it out. So let's take about 1/3 off and say we're going to use 25 light bulbs. We can have 25 light fixtures on this very simple 150 watt transformer. This is a 300 watt transformer, so we can double it. We can have 50 light bulbs or 50 light fixtures using this transformer. But the other thing that's so great about LEDs and what makes this such a great do-it-yourself project is that these LED light bulbs have a much broader range of operation than did the old halogen bulbs. So not only can you fit more of them on a system, you don't have to worry about the voltage drop as much. All the same rules apply, but it's a lot harder to break them when you have the LED bulbs. It's a lot easier to build a system without worrying about maxing it out, without hitting the limits, because the wattage is so low and because their operating range is greater. So they really, really simplify lighting jobs. So lots of options out there. know the size of your project, know how many light bulbs you think you want to use, and then buy the appropriate transformer. You might choose to use 2 transformers, one for the backyard, one for the front yard, rather than go with one larger transformer. It'll probably make wiring the system simpler and might even be more cost-effective. So you can look at those sorts of options. These transformers are both relatively simple. They have a light sensor on them. You can have the timer set to stay on for 4 hours after it gets dark or 6 hours after it gets dark. The other thing that's really important is to make sure that when you're connecting the wires from the transformer out to the lights, that you have waterproof connectors. So these transformers plug in to a 110, 120 volt outlet, the normal outlet that you might have hopefully outside of your home. And then they transform the electricity to low voltage. So that's why these are great do-it-yourself projects. You can't get shocked, you can't really get harmed from the low voltage wires. They function at about 12 volts, and that is quite safe. You don't need a licensed electrician to do it. As long as you're just plugging it directly into an outlet and then doing the wiring of the low voltage yourself. So the important thing there is to use waterproof wire nuts. And there's quite a few different styles. Here's a typical one, looks like a regular wire nut, but it has silicone on the inside. And so that keeps the connection waterproof. But these, the wires can pull out of quite easily. So it's better to use some other styles that have what's called strain relief. The wires don't pull out once they're connected. So you put the wires into this wire nut, and then you open this tube of silicone and you stick the wire nut with the wires connected down into the silicone. And then once you close it, this lid holds onto those wires and doesn't allow them to pull apart. So this is a little bit more sophisticated waterproof wire nut system. And then there are others on the market as well. This one is nice because you don't even have to strip the wires. You just stick them in, and then you, with a pair of pliers, press down on this, and it holds the wires tight and has silicone inside to make it waterproof. Similarly, this one too has silicone that you put the whole apparatus in, and then it has these levers. You open that up, put the wire in, close it down, and it too grabs onto the wire. So that's good to have it hold on to the wire a little bit. So we like to do this outdoor lighting for safety, for aesthetics, and it's best to make sure that you can't see that light source. That will give you the best light for the best safety. Choose what size transformer you need to use, and make sure all your wire connections are waterproof, and you should have great success.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.